Hello, everybody. Corey here, going to do the weekly review of the Yieldmax single stock tickers. I do apologize that these did not get done last week while I was sick, but I have added new information here as there have been things said about ignoring the risk of these funds and, other things to that effect. So, with that said, I do not provide personal investment advice and I am not a qualified licensed investment advisor. I am an amateur investor. All information found here, including any ideas, opinions, views, predictions, forecasts, commentary, suggestions, or stock picks expressed or implied herein, are for informational, entertainment, or educational purposes only, and should not be construed as personal investment advice. While the information provided is believed to be accurate, it may include errors or inaccuracies. Conduct your own due diligence or consult a licensed financial advisor or broker before making any and all investment decisions. Any investments, trades, speculations, or decisions made on the basis of any information found in my videos, expressed or implied herein, are committed at your own risk, financial or otherwise. I will save you from reading through the rest of these. However, I did copy and paste these from the Yieldmax website. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. This information, along with other details, is available in the prospectus. Please read the prospectuses carefully before making any investments. Investments involve risk. Principal loss is possible. As you can see here, they go through, and you can pause these videos, you can go to their website, you can read the prospectus, but they have the underlying security risks, derivative risks, distribution risk, NAV erosion risk due to distributions, call writing strategy risk, single issuer risk, high portfolio turnover risk, new fund risk, liquidity risk, and non-diversified risk. Please feel free to read over all of those and ensure you read the prospectuses and understand. Just a reminder for those of you that I talk too slow for, or you want to hurry up and get through the videos, YouTube does have the option to go in and listen to me 1.5 or 2 times, or however you would like. Also, as a reminder, I am here just to provide data and information to you from the websites. I take the data and then I just alter it to make it, better for you. Or whatever I need to do as far as calculations and everything else. So, what we will do is we are going to go back to here. This is where we had started, or actually, it's not where we started, but previously we were doing this, and we know we wanted to, go back to the original up and down format that I had. So then we started this format when we were doing the distributions. So, estimates and stuff like that. So now I have gone back and added to it and adjusted some things. And I think I have everything here now for us to go back to this format so we could see everything on one screen. However, I did just freaking realize that I am doing this in the wrong mode and that I should have done this in portrait mode. I do apologize. Hopefully it will be okay. At least we'll just be scrolling down versus keep scrolling all the way across a page, which is what we were doing before. And I know I didn't like it, and a lot of you did not either. So I'm going to zoom in here, and we will start with AIYY. So I have updated this. So the next declaration date will be May 3rd, and the next ex-dividend date is May 6th. The outstanding shares here is as of, it says April 14th, so I think that's today. And then just a reminder, so we'll go through these. I did change a few things, but we have the start here, which is going to be the ex-dividend date. And then we have the current price, which is obviously the current price. And then we have the dollar change in the amounts. And then we also have the percentage change. As far as we go here, the percentage change line is green. One's green and one's red, whichever one was better. So in this case, AIYY has gone down 11%, while AI has gone down 13%. Therefore, AIYY has done better. And that's why it's green. And then we have our rankings before on which one did better. So I brought them over. I just didn't know if I should really keep the ranking or not, because it was better when you could see them all together. But if we're just looking at these specific, you know, the two, the underline and the Yieldmax, I don't know that this matters. But I can tell by looking at this, the AI and AIYY has been the worst so far, because there's only 19 ETFs. Then what I didn't have this here before. It was not in the weekly videos before. I did show this data, however, in the monthly review, where I go and show the total return since inception and all the distributions and everything. So I don't know. I thought I'd put it in the weekly video, but I don't know that you really need it or want it here, and I'm already showing it in that monthly review, so y'all let me know if you want this here. But I went ahead and did it for now. We have the Yieldmax inception, so these will be as of the Yieldmax inception. So you can see here, AIYY was at 1975, and AI was at 2918 when the Yieldmax ETF started. Or opened. And then, of course, you see the current amounts, and then you'll see the change from the inception date to now. And then, of course, the percentage change. So in this case, AIYY has gone down 38%, while AI has only gone down 23%. So let me know in the comments if you want me to keep this section here, or if you just prefer to see this section when I do the monthly review data, versus looking at this weekly. And then we'll go down. So I have changed this. So before, we did have, down here, we had the range and some averages and stuff. And after looking at the data, looking all the numbers from the last distribution, looking at the end numbers we had and the distribution dollar amount, at least based on the one, right? We'll see how it goes further. That range and the average weren't close. It didn't make sense. And so I just took them away, because if you watch that video, you would know that basically the distributions were closest to either the last month's distribution or the implied volatility, at least for the majority. So if I remember correctly, the last month's distribution, about 10 of them were closest to that out of the 19 ETFs. And I think roughly 7 of them were closest to the implied volatility. So you're looking at the majority of them were closest to either the last month's distribution or the implied volatility amount. So that's why, and before the range was from the implied volatility to, and included that, the short call premium received, and the short call all trades. So it was the range between those three, and then it was the average. But if it's not closest to those three, then why include it? Now, I did try to do some calculations again, like, well, what if we use the last month's distribution and the implied volatility amount and do an average? And that did not yield a lot of good data either. Other than just, maybe we should just look at these two by themselves, because them averaged together still was not closest. I did several different calculations and averages and percentages to see if anything could get closer than just looking at these, and they did not. So I did leave the, buy share for the short call premium, the all trades, the synthetic trades, and then the total trades here. But you can see now I have a large black line around the last month's distribution and implied volatility to show that these were the numbers, at least for the 1 month, which was last month, which is my first full coverage month, that they were closer to these two. And if you want to look at something, this would probably be what you would want to look at if you're wanting to see where we're at as of right now for distribution estimates. And again, just place solely on it being like that last month. Now, keep in mind the implied volatility will change. The last month's distribution, of course, will not change. And then if we go down to the bottom, I went ahead and put the dollar amounts because that was on the previous data. I did show you the total. Yeah, this is all of them. Okay, I showed you the total amount, not just the buy share. That was actually, I only started doing that when I started for this estimate, the last estimate review. But so I went ahead and added, just in case anybody wants to see, the total dollar amount for the short call premium received. And then, of course, we have just the all trades, the net trade for the short call, the synthetic trades, and then, of course, our total trades. So, but we can see here, regardless if you're looking at the total dollar amount or the buy share amount, you can see specifically for AIYY, the synthetic trade, what has been the worst. Now, I will say that the synthetic trade that was bringing this down has now been closed out. And I do want to go back and look at some other things. But now I personally feel comfortable investing in AIYY because the one bloodsucker that was pulling this thing down has finally been closed. Unfortunately, it should have been closed a long time ago and probably shouldn't have been open to begin with. But this makes me want to go back and research because I know there's been a few others that's done this exact same thing, and it was Tesla and I think one other one. And this one right here just basically seemed like it just sucked the blood out of AIYY. As you can see, it went down $5.58 for the synthetic trades per share. And I didn't go over it here, but we also have all the distribution range, the lowest they've ever paid out and the highest that they have paid out with those ranges there for you to see that data here as well. And so I think, based on going back and looking at my old video and the old data, that this was everything plus some that I was covering before each week. So if I'm missing something, or if you think there's something else that I should be showing on here, let me know. And this would be specifically for the weekly videos. Okay, so now that we've talked through that, we've seen AIYY down through here, we are going to now move on to the rest of the ETFs. And I failed to say this up front, but, feel free, please, to fast forward to the ETFs you want to watch if you do not want to watch all of these. I know this is a long video, and I do apologize, but we have 19 ETFs to cover in depth, not to mention going over our apparently required information at the front about risks and my status of not being a financial advisor, and then just explaining up front what the data means, especially since we've changed information and we've had a lot of new people. So we will move on to AMDY. You can see, and I didn't explain this a second ago, I apologize, but we have our outstanding shares of a little over 6 million. This has increased 43%. And I'm looking at this and I actually need to change this formula. I do apologize for that. I had to go back and change all the data to be for this month. So I just paused the video, got on my computer, and updated that because I knew it would take a minute and not something I could quickly do, make an adjustment on a video. And I apologize even when I have to do those things. So just going back just a second, you can see that AIYY has went up 4% since the last ex-dividend date. And so if we look here, AMD has increased by 6%. And so to look here, as far as you can see all the data here, but AMDY has gone down at 10% since the ex-dividend date, and AMD has gone down 11%. So AMD has done better in this case, and they are ranked 17. So out of 19, they're 17. So that's not looking too good there. Now, if we want to look at since inception, you can see that AMDY has actually gone down at 10%. However, now I realize here that the one thing this doesn't include, that my monthly includes, is the distributions. So this is not the full picture here for the inception. So with that said, now that I remember that, I'm actually just going to hide this data. Now, if y'all do want me to provide this data, just let me know, and what on this video specifically, just let me know for sure, and then I'll just go add in the total amount of distributions to this. But because I don't have that, I'm actually going to hide that, because otherwise it has no meaning at all. So I apologize for that. I'm glad I thought about it now, though. But anyway, so we're going to go on down. We can see the high and low, or the low and high distributions, the last month's distribution, and the estimate based on implied volatility only. You can also see here the short call premium received per share, the net trades of the short call, synthetic, and the total trades, which means they've received 56 cents a share since during this pay period, since ex-dividend date. If you want to see the actual dollar amounts, you can see that down here at the bottom. We will move on to AMZ here. The outstanding share count has increased by 9%. As you can see, both of these have changed and went up 1%. However, apparently Amazon is just a little bit better. So AMZ is ranking number 5 of the 19 ETFs, and Amazon is ranking 4 of the underlying there. And you can see here their distributions range from 37 cents to 70 cents. Last month's distribution was 70 cents with an implied volatility estimate of 77 cents a share. Again, you can see the short call premium here by share, the net trade, synthetic, and total trades. So they bought in a total of $1.06 per per share, or you can see the dollar amounts here at the bottom for AMZ. We're going to move on to Apple. Apple's shares have increased by 6% this pay period. Apple has gone up 2%, while Apple has gone up 4%. Apple is actually ranking number 1 this pay period, while Apple is at 4 within the ETFs. All their distributions, they range from 17 cents to 63 cents. Last month's was 38 cents. If we look at the implied volatility, this month's will be estimated at 39 cents. But we can see here our short call, or all of our buy per share, but then the total amounts here, you can see by per share, we are down 62 cents a share there. It looks like the biggest issue here, well, our net short call trades, but then also our synthetic trades, because we know Aptly was going down and then now it's going up. If we move on to Coney, their outstanding shares have increased 6%. Coney itself has gone down 4%, while Coin has gone down 6%. Therefore, Coney has done better so far this pay period. Overall, the Yieldmax ETF's Coney ranks 13, while overall the underlying Coin ranks 15. Their distributions have ranged from $1.08 to $2.79, which was their distribution this last month. And now I'm looking here. So many things. So one is based off of what I have. The other is based off of what's pulling from Yieldmax's website. So let me double check those real quick. Okay, so I am back, and I went and did a little research, and I looked up the stock price. I verified the distribution price. The calculation was $119, which is what I have. I did go to their website. Their website does say $129, so my link is correct. So then I went back and looked at their original announcement just to see if maybe they typed in something wrong on their website. And their announcement does say 119%. So, yeah, so just wanted to let you know there. So it was 119%, not what's on their website of 129. Sorry, had to get a drink there. Okay. So, back to where we were. Now, if we're looking at implied volatility distribution estimate, that's, I guess, I can't believe the IB is down to 93%, but it is, of course, it hasn't been doing much a lot, the past week, so it is what it is. But based on that, it's just saying $2. But if we go look at our actual data here, here's all of our data by share and total trades. But it shows here the total trades have been an increase of $1.83. So we always want, regardless of the distribution amount, right? We always just want the total trades overall to be positive, because then that means we're going to be positive. Because regardless if it's given to us in distribution or not, the share itself, share price, is going up. So just keep that in mind, whether they distribute it to us or keep it with the, within the share price itself, it's still good to be positive. So Dizzo, the outstanding shares have increased by 9%, so that's the most so far. Disney has gone down to 4%, while Dizzo has went down to 5%, so that's interesting. Usually, if a stock's going down, the ETF does better. However, if I recall correctly, Disney has been going up, and maybe it still went up a little bit after this before it was going down, and maybe that could account for it. But anyway, we have 19 ETF. Dizzo ETF, it ranks 15, while Disney is at 14 for the underlying. Previous distributions here, you can see a range from 26 cents to 77 cents. Last month's distribution was 68 cents. And the estimated distribution, if you're looking at implied volatility, would be 56 cents. We're going to look at the total data here. We can see that overall they have made 28 cents a share since this ex-dividend date. If we go on to Phoebe, its outstanding shares have increased by 3%. Phoebe ETF and Meta have both dropped 1%, though Meta must not be as worse. Phoebe ranks number 10 of the 19 ETFs as far as the ranking so far, and Meta is ranking 8 for the underlying. If you look here, the distributions have ranged from 28 cents to $1.18. And then last month's distribution was $1.17. So in the last 3 months, the distributions have been $1.17 to $1.18. We do go over and show all of the distributions and where they stand, and all the current where they're at as far as inception date during the monthly review. But I just happen to remember this one off the top of my head because it was weird that 3 months in a row it was basically the same thing. If we're looking at it based off implied volatility, we would expect 88 cents distribution. If we look at the trades, it looks like overall Phoebe has made 25 cents per share. If we move on to GUI, it's increased by its outstanding shares by 4%. GUI is up 2%, while Alphabet is up 3%. Both of these rank number 2 for the Yieldmax ETFs and the underlying. GUI's distributions range from 23 to 42 cents. Last month's distribution was 31 cents. Implied volatility estimate would be 51 cents, which is interesting because that's more than it's been before. It's more than any of the distributions have been before, I mean. And then if we look at overall here, it looks like they've made a lot on the synthetic trades, but the overall, they've made 68 cents a share. If we move on to JPMO, just a reminder, Friday JPMO had earnings, which just now reminds me I was supposed to do a earnings video update. But they had earnings pre-market, and they were bad, and it tanked. And long story short, right? The outstanding shares have increased by 8%. Both of them, you can see, have decreased 8%. Apparently, JPMO is still a little bit better. And they both rank 16 of the 19 ETFs. Distributions range from 20 to 65 cents. Last month was 65 cents. Implied volatility right now shows an estimate of 37 cents. If we look at the trades so far, they have made 32 cents a share overall. If we move on to Murney, Murney has increased outstanding shares by 4%. Murney has actually gone up 3%, while Moderna has gone up 2%. Murney ranks number 1 out of the Yieldmax ETFs as far as earnings so far. And Moderna is number 3 in the underlying. Their distributions range from 41 cents to $2.65. Last month's distribution was 78 cents, with the estimate of applied volatility right now of 97 cents a share. We can see overall they have made 51 cents a share. MSFO has increased its outstanding shares by 3%. Apparently MSFO, they've changed 3 cents, which is 0%. Microsoft here has decreased by 1%, so Microsoft is doing better. It ranks number 6 out of the Yieldmax ETFs, and Microsoft ranks 7. Distributions have ranged from 28 cents to 78 cents, with last month being 73 cents. If we looked at implied volatility, the estimate would be, based off the IV, would be 54 cents a share. If we want to look at the trades here, overall, Microsoft or MSFO has made 21 cents a share. Misty here has increased. Wow, this is significant. Its shares by outstanding shares by 19%. But if you recall, we had a $4, yeah, you see it below there, $4.13 distribution. So either people bought in on distribution date to get the div, because some do that, or some waited until it dropped, and then get this, right after that, if you haven't been following, it dropped another $4. So people possibly started dollar cost averaging down on this one. But if you look at these two together, Misty has done better than MicroStrategy. Misty is only down 11%, while MicroStrategy is down 13%. But overall, they are next to last in ranking, so they both rank 18 of the 19. Of course, you see the distribution, and of course, I'm going to guess that the yield here. So the yield at the top will be the yield based on the price and, the distribution at the time of declaration. All right, and I just looked this up since this is the second instance here. So the problem is on last month's distribution, that percentage that you see for Misty 139, it's the same thing we had with Coney. So what's happening here is the yield, the distribution rate on Yieldmax's website is changing based on the current stock price and not the stock price at the time of distribution. And that's not what we want. We don't want it now. We want it at that time what the yield was then and not now. So, which is what we have at the data above. And what I need to do, I'm going to make this red here because I'm going to change this formula for it not to pull from the website because I don't want it to change based on the current stock price. I want it to show what last month's data was. So now we'll know from going out. I just looked up the stock and did some calculations to make sure, and that is exactly what is happening here. So what I would say is disregard the percentage that you will see here from this forward out on line 16 for last month's distribution because that percentage is not correct. And above you can see that it would be a 120%, which is accurate based on the last distribution and the percentage at that time. All right. So moving on here, if we're looking at applied volatility, right now we'd be looking at the distribution amount of $3.74. Now if we want to go down here and look at overall, you can see that they've actually brought in $2.67 a share overall. And I know all the rest of the data is down there, and I'm not reading you all of the numbers, so you should, hopefully you're able to watch this. Otherwise, I'm just giving you the highlights here. Then we move on to Netflix. The outstanding shares have increased by 3%. The stock has decreased 2% for both Netflix and Netflix. Apparently, though, Netflix is green, so it's just a little bit better. Overall, Netflix is ranking 12 among the ETFs, and Netflix is ranking 9. Netflix distributions have ranged from 42 cents to $1.26. Last month's distribution was 81 cents. And if we looked at implied volatility currently, we would be looking at 74 cents. Overall, the trades, they have brought in 91 cents total. NVIDIA, its outstanding shares have increased by 16%. NVIDIA and NVIDIA have decreased by 2%. However, NVIDIA must be a little bit better as it's green, but they both rank number 11 out of the 19. If you look at the distributions, they've ranged anywhere from 42 cents to $2.62. Last month's distribution was $2.61. IV distribution estimate would be 95 cents. You can see here the data from all the trades. If we look at by share, we have earned 67 cents a share. If we go on to OARC, outstanding shares have increased 5%. They've both decreased by 4%. OARC, though, a little better. OARC ranks 14 among the ETFs and the Yieldmax ETFs, and ARC ranks 13 on the underlying. Distributions have ranged from 24 cents to $1.09. Just know that $1.09 would have been from the beginning, and it's been out for somewhere over the last year and a half. Last month's distribution was 48 cents. Based on current implied volatility, distribution would be 38 cents. You can see all the data for the trades here. The total that they've received per share is 24 cents a share. PayPay outstanding shares have increased 3%. PayPay has decreased only 7 cents, which is 0%, while PayPal has decreased by 2%. Therefore, PayPay is actually doing better and ranks 8 among the Yieldmax ETFs, while PayPal ranks 10 amongst the underlying. PayPay has distributions have been between 47 and 72 cents. Last month's distribution was 47 cents. And if we looked at implied volatility, which is sort of crazy, looking at last month's distribution anyway, it says that, we'd be looking at roughly 79 cents a share. If we look at the trades here, it looks like so far this month, they have actually made 30 cents total. Looking at total trades, 30 cents a share. For SQUE, it looks like people have sold out of this one as the outstanding shares have actually decreased 2%. However, comparing SQUE to Block, it's doing better. It's down 1%, while Block is down 3%. SQUE ranks 9 of the 19 ETFs, while Block ranks 12 in the underlying. Distributions range from 38 cents to $2.15. Last month's distribution was 64 cents. Based on implied volatility, the payout would be around $1.28. If we look at the data below, as far as the trades go, they have received 52 cents per share. If we move on to Tesla, they don't even have a 0.5% in trades, increase in shares, from last month. If we look at below, Tesla shares have actually increased 2%, or the stock price has increased 2%, while Tesla has increased 1%. So Tesla is doing better than Tesla so far this month. Tesla ranks number 3 of the Yieldmax ETFs, while Tesla ranks 6. Distributions here are split adjusted, 68 cents to $2.13. Just know the higher rate was again from the beginning, almost a year. I say it's been out for a year and a half, but the first distribution wasn't until January of 2023. So in the past 15 or so months, this was at the beginning. Last month's distribution was 68 cents, which is the lowest distribution it has had since inception here. And again, split adjusted. Based on implied volatility, though, it looks like the IV has actually gone up some here. The payout estimate would be 71 cents based on an IV alone. Looking at all the trades, it looks like they have earned 36 cents a share so far. Total trades. And Zomo, our last one, outstanding shares have increased by 5%. However, Zomo has gone down 6 cents, which is 0%, while Exxon has actually gone up 1%. Zomo ranks number 7 of the Yieldmax ETFs, while Zomo ranks 5. Distributions have ranged from 20 cents to 41 cents. Last month's distribution was 26 cents. Based on the current IV, the estimated distribution would be 37 cents. If we look at their total trades down here, it looks like they've made overall 35 cents in total trades. And then I know we did do the rankings here, but I want to look at the way we used to look at this because it's just a little bit easier in comparing these here real quick, and I won't take much time to do this. So I'm going to just sort this here. And also I have the data on the top of the S&P and the NASDAQ, so you can see that the S&P here has actually decreased 0.5% so far this pay period, while the NASDAQ 100 has gone up 0.7%. If we're looking at the Yieldmax the left-hand side, which is where the Yieldmax ETFs are, only 6 of them are actually up or in the green, looking here in this column right there. And that would be Murni, GUI, Tesla, Apple, AMZ, MSFO. And then, what was it? Well, I don't have to scroll. So you can see all of them, best to worst, best being Murni, while the worst, as we all know it, is going to be AIYY. However, Misty is the second worst there. Of course, the rankings are based off of the percentages. So if you look at the percentages instead of the dollar amounts, Misty and AIYY are both negative 11%, and AMD is negative 10%. So those aren't looking good so far. And then if we just look at the underlying, if we sort them over here, Apple and Google and Moderna are there at the top, while the worst ones were the same as the other side, AMD, MicroStrategy, and AI. If we're looking at overall the Yieldmax and underlying, it looks like here, out of the 19 ETFs, 11 of them are doing better than the underlying. And one thing that I cover on the dailies...
but I found these results on search.
Sorry, Google's talking to me. So another thing I just thought about, I do cover this on the daily, but in case you haven't seen it yet, because you don't watch the daily, I just want to show this to you. I just thought about it. So we have this new recovery section here, days to recover. So you can see here, this is showing the stock price as of the before the day before ex-dividend date, so the close. So then we can see what the current, then we have the current amount, and then we have the difference here. So if we just look at AIYY, the stock was $14.19, and now it's $12.21, so it's a difference of $1.98. However, if we look in the next column, the last distribution was only 73 cents. So then in the next column, we have the plus or minus for the last div. So we can see here that the stocks actually dropped $1.25 more than the last distribution amount. And then in the next column, you can see it's negative 100, dropped negative 173% of the last div. And then, so we have all that data there to look at and view, however you want to look at it, whatever you want to look at. But then we have the days to recovery, and we have a ranking column. So if we go down to, let's just look at Murni, since it was number one. We can see here that this one recovered to its price after 4 days. So it was the very first one, hence being ranked number one. Same thing, we have GUI. It was the second one to get above its price and recover from the distribution amount. it took 5 days, and then Aptly has taken 6 days. Now, these could drop back below the previous price, right? But at this point, they have recovered, and so they have been marked as recovered. Now, if I scroll down here, you can see the rest of these if you want to look at some of these down here at the bottom. And then y'all just let me know if you want me to cover this in future weekly videos or if I don't need to, because I already covered this in the daily videos, but I just now thought about this. I'm just trying to see if there's any that I might need to look at or use as an example here. I know we can see Phoebe here. I see it at 0%, and that's because it is dropped $1.17, and the last div was $1.17. So technically, it has recovered $0, 0% there. So, but we know it was all a red day right afterwards, so a lot of these did drop significantly here. So anyway, it was just an extra thing, just in case you haven't seen it yet, because some of you may only watch the trades and holdings, and therefore you wouldn't have seen this part of it. But anyway, I hope y'all had a great weekend. Hopefully this data was, you know, good overview for you. And then just let me know. I know I've mentioned a few things within a video. Just let me know in the comments. So please do that, and I will talk with you later. Thank you. Bye.